Hello and welcome to Balance the Mob. I'm your host Frank, and this is a little something I want to do where I take a look at games or issues in the gaming industry and attempt to bring a balanced approach to the matter. Today I'm going to have a look at the newly released hotness, Sea of Thieves, available on the Microsoft Store. Hotness. Now, in complete honesty, I didn't purchase this game because I wasn't really sure how it'd turn out based on some of the stuff I've heard from the feedback from the tests and all that. Wasn't sure if it was for me, so I'm using my 14-day free trial for the Xbox Game Pass, which is normally $9.99 a month. Microsoft is cleverly putting their new exclusives on Game Pass. I think that's a tactic to entice new more subscriptions to this service. But anyways, let's get on to the game. Sea of Thieves launched on March 20th, and this is the first time I've had a chance to give it a run, so I'm looking at it from a clean slate. This game is a fantastic take on a pirate MMO. There are ships to sail, dangerous seas, plunder to be had, and the stylized graphics bring such wonderful personality and character to the game and really impressive visuals. For a game where you spend the bulk of your time on water, the water looks absolutely stunning. Captaining a ship is great fun too. It's a little tedious solo, but not too big of a deal once you get used to it. The great thing is your crew can help you with every aspect of sailing because it's more than just steering at the helm. You have to hoist the anchor, drop the sails, and even the angle of the sails can be adjusted for sharper turns. You have to navigate, keep a lookout on the crow's nest, or man the cannons. And if you feel like everything's taken care of in that regard by your mates, you can always bust out an instrument and play some tunes for entertainment. Back at the starter town, you can pick up voyages, which you can think of are like quests. These will send you around to different islands, complete different tasks, things like capturing chickens and piggies, killing enemies, heading to the spot marked with an X to dig for treasure, or solving riddles to figure out where to dig for treasure. Sometimes digging is pretty entertaining since you wind up looking like Bill Murray hunting for gophers on a golf course. Just holes everywhere. You can even explore the islands for more goodies to stow on your ship and bring back to town to sell for gold. Your gold is then ultimately used to buy cosmetics such as hair, clothing, and even expensive ship stylings. You could even come across random encounters such as fighting a kraken, though I hadn't seen one of those. And there are also sunken ships where you can find the wreckage of the ship and dive underwater, explore the wreck, and then relieve it of any treasure left behind. I never realized this when swimming underwater before because there's no indication that you can run out of breath aside from the fact that you're human. There are some audio cues that'll tell you you're drowning, but however, the good news is, though, if you are drowning, you lose health pretty slowly, so there's ample time to get up to the surface. And if you get lost and you can't get back to the surface, you can eat bananas to increase your health and make sure that you don't drown until you find the surface. So there's a BTM tip for you right there. If you ever find yourself drowning, keep calm, eat bananas while swimming towards the surface. One thing to be careful of when you're out there exploring the world and grabbing treasure, and this is a really fun twist of the game, is that you're dropped into a world with other crews. That means PvP happens. You can get into ship-to-ship battles, and if you're lucky enough, get the drop on the other crew. You take their ship down, steal their treasures, kill the other pirates, or the same can be done to you. There's just no honor among the pirates and rivaling crews in these seas. So watch your back. So the thing is, Sea of Thieves isn't exactly all roses and sunshine. There's a lot of give and take with this game. That is to say, some of these features might be great to some people, but not so great for others. For example, the PvP I just mentioned. And I mean this in the most endearing way possible. It's not gonna sit well with a Care Bear crowd at all. Not everyone wants to be open to attack all the time like that. They want that kind of option. Whereas lots of people think, hey, this is what we should have. We should always be able to attack everyone. I wish I could attack everyone all the time. So it's give and take, like I said. Additionally, the game doesn't really teach you that much. It doesn't take much to figure out how to get going. A lot of it's really common sense. Like when you first get onto a ship, you don't get behind the wheel and start moving. You eventually realize, like, oh, well, I have to drop the sails because, these sailing ships need wind, and when you bring the sails down, the wind pushes it. You drop the sails. We're still not moving. Oh, well, the anchor's down. We're not going to go anywhere with the anchor down. You pull the anchor up, and now away we go. Now we can steer around, and so really, you got to use your head. The game doesn't really tell you a lot, but using your head isn't difficult. This is a kind of a breath of fresh air in terms of the games we get these days. They rely on you to think about what you're trying to do. And speaking of captaining a ship around, there's no real HUD or markers on the screen in terms of where you need to go. It's not like you pick up your voyages and then it just pops a little dot on your screen and says, "Okay, go that way." You have a map on your ship where it shows where your ship is and where all the islands are, and you kind of have to match up what your island looks like with all the islands on the map, and then go there, head that direction, north, northeast, southeast. Just go that way, and eventually you'll make it to the island. The map's pretty good at helping you find it out, but I mean, it's much different than what we're used to in most of these games, where they just put a dot or a trail and say, "Go that way, follow this trail." You don't ever have to think about where you're going because we're feeding it to you constantly. So if you think about it, like at first I thought the navigating was really frustrating. Like I was running back and forth, checking the map, adjusting course, checking the map and adjusting course. And I was just like, I'm not into this. This isn't awesome. But as I kept doing it and as and really thinking about it, it's like this actually is kind of awesome because it's the game's telling me that I need to learn the world. Like eventually you're not going to be navigating. Like the navigation becomes less tedious once you've like learned where all the islands are. Like if you need to go to Crook's Hollow, you eventually learn what at a glance where Crook's Hollow is in relation to where you are, and you could just spin that wheel around and get there without having to constantly check and recheck. You'll eventually get to learn the map, which is great. So I wouldn't call this one a deal breaker at all. There's also the point of having absolutely no progression in the game. Once again, I think it's one of those features that's a little give and take. On the one hand, it really caters to people that don't want progression interfering with their approach to the game. You drop in as a new player and join your well-experienced friends and do the same things they do with the same impact. There's no burning rush to keep up with your mates and no fear of getting left behind. On the other hand, progression, whatever flavor you like, is a great carrot to improve the game's stickiness. Having more than one way to customize your character and more goals to work towards just gives a better feeling of satisfaction and character ownership. That isn't to say there aren't carrots in the game. There are cosmetics that you can purchase from your vendors that make you look spiffy or your ship spiffy. That's about it. There are players out there where that's enough, and that's okay. But the game just doesn't feel like it's as deep as it could be because of that. Character creation also felt a little bit weird. I didn't dive into it too much, but it looked like the best you had was a carousel of options, and you could re-roll to cycle through and pick the look you liked the most. If you find one you think you've settled on, and it looks like you could lock that one in and re-roll the rest until you narrow it down to a carousel of characters you found most appealing. I wound up going with probably the most lovable pirate in the world, and I'm sure everyone wants this pirate as their mate. And no one's going to want to attack me because he's a lovable pirate. There are also some day one issues when I tried to play. Now, I know this isn't too much of a big deal because most games have their day one issues, but I still thought it was worth a mention. I personally had issues connecting to the servers and matchmaking, even queuing by myself. As it turns out, there are 2 layers to the matchmaking. First, the game tries to find you a party based on your choices. For example, if you want to go on a galleon with a full crew, the game's got to find 3 other players for you to matchmake with. And then after that, it's got to matchmake you into an actual world where other crews may be present. Eventually, I got past this when I tried a couple hours later. And I was able to queue in by myself. For the record, I learned that it's probably not a great idea to go around by yourself in a sloop, because you'll be very easy prey if you run into any other crews out there. And you can get stuff done, but just know that anyone can just sit there and grief you and take all your stuff. It might not be the greatest of times starting out. Another issue I ran into was the very first time I jumped into the game. I didn't have any weapons or items in inventory, which rendered me entirely useless to my crew. No shovel, no compass, not even instruments to set the mood. No weapons, nothing. Since this was my very first jaunt in the game, this was hugely confusing, because I thought I was missing something, and I ran around for a good 45 minutes or so being completely useless, looking for ways to get weapons, get shovels, and I was like, maybe I need to find them here and there. Turns out that was just a bug, and you were already supposed to have all that stuff in your inventory. Log out and log back in, I guess. I'm sure my random crew, who I originally thought were NPCs, because this was my very first voyage, they weren't. It was actual players. I'm pretty sure they weren't too happy with me, because I wasn't doing anything for them aside from driving the ship in directions that were really confusing, because I also didn't know what I was doing there either. Another one of the big rumblings I've seen around Reddit and even game reviews is that people didn't receive any of their pre-order bonuses at launch. That's not a good look. There's not going to be a whole much wait for them. They're supposed to be delivered very soon. I'm hearing this coming week as of this taping. They're supposed to get delivered in short order, but again, it's not a great look, especially for people that don't troll forums and Reddits for this kind of information. A lot of gamers will just go to a store page, see pre-order bonus, and be like, "Oh, cool! Oh, I'm gonna pre-order the game," and then that's all the information they have. And then once the game comes out and they're like, "Hey, I pre-ordered this. I'm supposed to have all this stuff. Where the hell is it? I didn't get it delivered." They're also, again, not. They're typically going to the store page, leaving bad reviews, versus going around and researching for that. So again, not a very good look, although it's going to be fixed pretty soon. So with all that out of the way, let's look at the big question. Is this game worth its AAA tag of $60? Sadly, I'd venture to say no, it's not. Let's have a quick review of games that came out in the last 6 to 7 months and had the same price tag. There's titles like Assassin's Creed Origins, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, Shadow of War, South Park, and a lot more. And the ones I just listed are mostly single player, even with presumably no real reason to play once you've beaten them. But I'd still say they're worth their price in comparison. I feel like there's just nothing to keep me coming back to Sea of Thieves. Sure, I don't have all the cosmetics, but I feel like I've already done everything I could. Gladly, I didn't pay the full price to play the game. I'm just using my Game Pass trial, which I'd be willing to wager quite a lot of people are doing. Even once the trial is up, I could see using the Game Pass to play Sea of Thieves at $9.99 a month. Way above paying the $60 box price. However, Sea of Thieves will eventually get cycled out of Game Pass, which means you'll have to purchase it eventually to keep playing it if you want to play it long term. And maybe this was Microsoft's plan all along. Maybe it was to get people in and hooked with the Game Pass. So people are subbed with Game Pass. They now have access to Sea of Thieves along with hundreds of other titles. And they put some content drops in there, and eventually they get Sea of Thieves to the point where it's about to cycle out and you're going to want to buy it. And usually I think they give it to you at a discount if you're buying it right before it goes out of, right before it cycles out of the Game Pass service. But I mean, I don't think this is really shady. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think it's a really bad model. Me personally, I'm not even gonna renew. I'm not even gonna go on the plan. It didn't grab me that much. It's a gorgeous game, and the mood and everything is there. It's just that, and they have a core content loop. It just needs a little bit more. It's just not for me. I'm sure lots of people will keep playing because really all the game's about is going in, being a pirate, and having fun. Just do the things. And, you don't have to worry about progression. You really don't have to worry about money. I mean, yeah, you have to worry about other crews taking away from your spoils, spoiling your efforts over the last length of time. But you could do that to other crews. You could just log in and just be like, we're just going to troll around looking for ships and take all their stuff. And then, and that's really appealing to people. So I'm sure that there's plenty of reason for a certain kind of player to go in and keep playing the game. It's just, for me, no. And it's not something I would recommend even to my friends. But that being said, I heard the team's still hard at work on the game, and there's more content to come. Maybe it'll be worth a look again, further down the line. As it stands now, like I said, they have a core gameplay loop, but that's about it. I really feel like there needs to be more there to really increase the stickiness, the purpose for people to come back. So to me, it kind of still feels like it's in an alpha state, just a little bit. But with that, I'm going to set sail from this beautifully created world, and, I'm going to head off to other games. So let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts behind. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. I don't know, but I'm taking off, and I'll see you next time.